Most of setup done, but then there's the evil player setup. They draw a counter from the map, and yeah, we're getting that weird red tone again. And I get this, and I'm like, oh great, I got a picture. I don't know. I can't match it to the poor printing that I've gotten. And as far as I can tell, that someone else claims that they got a perfect print off the PDFs. So I'm assuming it's something to do with the way my wife's computer is set up with the printer. We've seen things like this before. It's just weird. It's like it can't handle the image heavy documents well. But anyway, so I go to here, and I have kind of a hard time still, but I think this is the Sea Witch. So what am I looking at with the Sea Witch? Must place if drawn equipped with staff, flies on water. I have no idea. Staff could be in here. I have a staff, the Dead Seal staff. I assume that's what we're talking about here, but I can't be sure. It looks like it's maybe a fire-based attack or something. And since that matches the picture, I'm assuming that's the staff that it has. And I guess physically, she does knife damage and something else that, we'll see when we get the kill table. But otherwise, if killed, evil vanishes, whalers survive. This is something that I don't really want kicking around. Now, this is me as the evil player. Now, that makes things kind of ugly. However, I'm able to place it anywhere but not within 6 hexes of the ship. If the evil character can be set up nearer due to the setup mentioned on the character sheet, is placed as directed by the character sheet. Uh-oh. Doesn't say anything like that. So I can put it anywhere on the board, not within 6 hexes of the ship. I'm going to put it out here, hidden, and it'll be revealed if it's used or seen. And then I get 2 more counters as my hand before the game starts. And what do I have here? I have what looks like an old whale and something else. Maybe the tail of the sea serpent? That looks likely. So I got a couple of big critters in my hand, and I'm gonna, I don't know, put them over here to remind me of what I got, and then we'll jump to the beginning. As we get a forced event, because it's the first turn of the game, and we get a 62. Sea Shanty. Whalers sing ship in distress shanty to gain +2 strength for turn. Okay. How am I going to remind myself of that? I don't know. Since I'm not going to be playing this, I'm going to put a little marker there. I probably won't remind me. This is the kind of thing where I probably ought to have a sheet of paper to just track, all kind of weird information like that. Again, I'm not familiar with the game, so I don't know how much this kind of crap is going to happen where I need to keep a log of the game. The whaler actions. Well, gosh, I don't know what I can do. I probably want to try to spot that. Otherwise, I feel pretty comfortable, to tell you the truth. These guys are going to be manning their various stations. Nothing bad is going on. It's clear weather. So I just don't think there's much I can do other than use the guy up on the lookout with the spyglass to try to sight things. Now, I don't have the spyglass, but there are I don't have a card for it. but I think there were rules. I know there were some rules on how to spot things somewhere. There we go. How do I look? Yeah, looking seems like an important thing at this point. Although I might be able to fire the harpoon cannon with someone as well. Do I have an extra crew member somewhere? Looks like my whole crew is busy, except I could pull somebody out of the galley maybe to do something. Gosh. Okay, I'm not seeing it. I will look through the entire rule book again to try to see if I can find any rules on seeing anything. The only thing I have is the revealing evil rule here, which says evil player must reveal counters anywhere on the map if spyglass is used at top mast B, or if the counter is within 5 of the hex. So, okay. We'll go with that. As long as he's up there looking around with the spyglass, he can see whatever he likes. That's his action. I probably want to move someone to take advantage of the thing now, the harpoon gun, and try to kill the sea witch first thing. Wow, it was dumb to be in the front, wasn't it? Oh well. Oops. I wanted to be in the front so that, you know, as the ship moves towards me, I'm staying in contact with it. I don't want to be left behind, but that was probably a big mistake. And now I can move. I don't remember how to do anything. Again, why I wanted to play it beforehand, because I know navigating these rules is painful. I know these rules exist. I'm in stacking. That's got to be where it is. Character movement. Amount of listed of their character speed. So let's take a look at Benny the Steward. He has a speed of only 3, and Wong the Cook has a speed of 4. 1, 2, 3. I'll man the mast with him. Oh, the light came on. What about that? And you can see it creates this little tiny pool. I don't know who I'd want to send there. Fiery Path or some guy with a hat. Guy with a hat. Yeah, lots of guys have hats. That's Jebediah. He is also rather strong. I don't know what he's equipped with here. Oh, that's a big hook. Yeah, let's send Fiery Path over there. Let's send Fiery Path onto the gun. He will man the gun, and Benny will man the mast. And that means we get to look at the harpoon gun. And we have a range of 1, 2, 3, 4, only 5. So we're not going to be able... Oh, that's a harpoon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm out of range anyway, so that doesn't matter. I don't think there's anything I can do at this point, except for what I'm doing. We go to whaler ship movement phase. Okay. So we have a movement of 4 plus the wind penalty of 1 puts us to 3. And I guess we move. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now we're in range, but we can't fire it. And then we go to evil. Evil must summon one new character if able. So I'm going to try to put something else in front of the ship. Either that whale or the sea serpent. And I'll look at their stats. Yeah, they're going to be easier to read inside the rule book because the printing is so bad. Not to mention the glue that I've got bleeding through, which also doesn't help. So we flip through here, which you shouldn't have to do. You know, the game should work fine if you have a decent printer. Tail can whip one hex onto ship, deck, or boat. That sounds pretty potent. Head can move onto ship's deck up to midsection, can move onto galley if length permits. Ooh. The whale looks bigger. Let's put the whale up. So the whale has all this distance. I gotta find its head. It should be here. Should be somewhere. Should be somewhere. There it is. But I don't have to put this on the board yet. And in fact, none of this is known. When revealed, can place adjacent to ship or boat. Ooh. Yeah. Let's get the whale moving right away and see what we can do. What's not clear is when revealed, can place adjacent to ship or boat. Tail can whip one hex onto ship or boat. What's not clear is if I can make two different attacks, one with the head and one with the tail, which would definitely be appealing. I think so. So I think what I'm going to do, how big is it? It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes. So let's put... So this is not as pleasant as I had liked, because the tail, I think, can only move one hex onto the ship or boat. Yeah, which means, you know, if the tail was here, I could whip, but I can't really. Because if the tail's here, I'm too far away, and if I want to maintain that same, you know, I'm not a flexible creature, I don't think. Let me look at big creatures again. They may be more flexible than I think. Certainly I feel like the serpent should be, but I don't know, you know, how flexible a whale is. A few minutes and I ripped the centerfold out so that I can maneuver through the rules. The whale and the sea serpent are able to configure themselves as long as they respect, yeah, they can twist and turn. Whatever that means. I don't know what that means, but just how twisty they are. But what was it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hexes. So if I put the tail here to hit him, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can put the head here. Am I right? Is that 6 the way I mean it? 2, 4, 6. 2, 4, 6. I'm 1 off. Okay. And now I get to do 2 attacks. One, I'm going to schwack fiery path with my tail. Now I could be holing the ship with the tail. That might be an even better move, but I'd like to start whacking crew members. I feel like reducing the crew is important. And by the way, I had to draw my next thing. I got a crab, not a neutral character. That's helpful because I can bring like the sea serpent, which is also powerful, into play and just start smacking the boat around real hard with these critters. This is pretty cool. I don't have to move. I don't know if I see a great reason to. So, but I do get my attacks in at this point, right? Let's see. Yeah, the attacks happen during movement. So I could actually attack and move at least a hex or so, try to get away from that harpoon, because I kind of don't want my whale harpooned. Okay, so what do I got? Let's do the tail attack first. And that's got a strength of 25 on Fiery Path, who has a tomahawk and a knife, which maybe he can use both. No. Tomahawk has +2 strength. Yeah, great. I would say a tomahawk is probably as good as a knife. Maybe a little better. So I'll give it a strength of 4, and I'll probably do the cleaver the same way, but I'm going to make the cleaver not throwable. How potent is the sword? The sword's a 5. The tomahawk shouldn't be as strong as the sword, but I like it better than the knife. So what do we got here? Well, can't I use Will to Live just to dodge an attack or something like that? I seem to remember. There's something that allows me to dodge an attack. It might be the once per game dodge attack, yeah. Yeah. Well, let's see. 1, 2. So he has his strength of 7, and the tomahawk of 4 is 11, plus 2 to strength for the tomahawk. You know, I'm going to say the tomahawk's no better than the knife because of that +2. That seems to handle that. So we'll put that to 5, and we'll put that to a 12. And the tail is 25. Dark will be the evil character. Okay, so I got a 6. That means I got 12 plus 7, 10, 12. So I'm at 24. But the whale's tail is at 29. So it's 5 points of damage on Fiery Path. That's a lot. Do I want to keep him alive for another round? That tail is just devastating. Oh, gosh. Of course, so is the whale's mouth, but I don't want to waste that there. Although, honestly, the tail could probably smack a hole in the ship, too. Yeah, I guess, I don't know what to do. I'm gonna take all my hits on speed and leave him where he is for the rest of the game. He's just legs are crushed or whatever. And I'll mark that with the pencil in case I ever want to play with these particular sheets again instead of something else. So that's that. And the whale attacks the ship's hull, and that is going to be a 40 to a 15. Okay, so this is 52 to 20. That results in a hole. And we take a rope and we try to figure out where that's going to be. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Geez, I don't know. I feel like you should be able to get holes in the ship. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You should be able to get holes in the ship down here, you know, no matter what, no matter where on the ship you're hitting. Yeah. But this doesn't quite fit that. And given that there's an optional rule about where the holes are in relation to the characters, I find this somewhat problematic, but I'll put it here. Now, we have a space for holes here. Oh no, that's flooding. Oh, we have a space for holes, but not for flooding markers. That's interesting. I'm not sure that I can play with that option because I don't understand, you know, where to place the flooding markers. But we have one hole on the ship. Interesting. Okay. We'll have to look at the fix rule to see what that means. I'll be back after I look that up. When you do the fix thingy, you end up possibly fixing holes and bailing out water at the same time. I had forgotten the mechanism that works by. And that means we're done with the first turn. Pretty awesome. Oh, I can move things. Hold on. I probably want to move things. What's the speed of the Sea Witch? Well, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Am I in range? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am not in range. I am going to move. I've got an attack of 9. I'm going to move 1 closer. Attack. No, that means. Where did I put my die? That means I have 4 more moves. 1 closer, and now I get to make my attack with the Dead Sea Staff. I'm assuming the Tomahawk says strength is used somewhere, but it may not mean that. I don't know. It may not have been that potent. I have a 9 with the Dead Sea Staff. There is no way the Tomahawk can be thrown as far as I've got listed. So what do we got? We got, we're hitting Fiery Path again. So we've got a 9 versus, well, he'll defend himself with that Tomahawk, a 12. Magic power do nothing against Tomahawk. So that's a 10 to 17. I'm not in range of the Tomahawk, so it can't possibly hurt the Dead Sea thing. Seems a little weird to be able to deflect magic with a Tomahawk, but whatever. I got 4 more moves. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now the whale has a speed of 8. Let me look at the harpoon gun and see what kind of angle it can get, because that's the most worrisome weapon. I really don't want that thing firing a 15 at me, although I got a lot of meat there. Now I don't know what happens if you fire at other parts of the whale. I think they're underwater, so screw it, right? Screwed something up. The Sea Witch rolled a 1. Let's see what happens. Oh, she dropped her staff, and I think it sinks to the bottom because once you lose a weapon, it's gone. So, there's that. You'd think she could pick it back up, but whatever. Oh well. Yeah, I'm not really happy about the way the dropping of weapons works. I feel like she should be able to pick that back up, but somehow she's just broken it forever, from what I can tell. Drop weapon just destroys it, from what I can see. Because otherwise there would have to be counters lying around. Let me check that roll too, because that just seems unreasonably painful. But if she left the hex, that would be a problem, and she did do an attack, so she can't pick up a weapon. I didn't find anything specific, but I know when you throw a weapon, it goes into the discard pile. So yeah, I think it's just gone, and that's where we're going to be. I still have to look up the harpoon. I can't find anything yet. But then I did get distracted. So it really, these are taking 5 to 10 minutes each, these lookups. Just because it's really tough to find anything. And I got to tell you, the patterning, and this is a common thing in these magazine games, and in fact in the company's games, is they put this kind of attractive patterning. That's enough to distract me, you know. I know that I like the fact that it's not glossy. Thank God for that. That would be a double distraction. But and I've seen games that are, a lot of the Euros have like some kind of pattern and a gloss, and it's like, this really fucked me up, right? But I can't find an angle on that harpoon. I'm just not. I think honestly, it probably is just blocked by line of sight. Which is to say, if somebody's standing between you and your target, there's a problem. But unless I get behind the ship, that I don't see a problem with that. So I don't know. So I'm almost out of battery again. Almost no usage. This thing just fucking eats battery. I want my old cameras back to work. I found the rule on the harpoon cannon. It doesn't talk anything about facing. I thought it could only fire out the front. But that doesn't seem to be the case. So how am I going to move the whale? Well, I'd like to get the tail back here, but that's not going to happen, I don't think. 1, and we'll keep 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think I'm here, 7, 8, 2, 4, 6, I guess. Alright, so I guess that's where I am at the end of the turn. And we'll swap batteries. And call that one turn completed. Yay! It's kind of clunky learning how to use it. And again, once you get comfortable with the rules, I'm sure that it works a little better, but you're still going to have to do role lookups. There's enough little special things in here that I think there's going to be some issues in terms of like the way the rule book is set up, even once you are comfortable with the game as far as it goes. The first thing in the turn is the raise water phase. And we'll get that leak in there. Because there's no rule on where the water counter is actually placed, I think, I don't really like the optional rule that you have to be next to the water to fix it. But I don't know. I'm okay either way. I'm going to try to put the water where the holes are, but whatever. And spread it out. I think they're just counters, though, to indicate the flooding situation. So I don't know how much difference that makes. That brings us to the whaler turn, where they get to take their actions. And, well, with the what's his name, Fiery Path, sitting here at the gun, he probably wants to fire that. Now, there's not a restriction that I see that you can only fire the gun once. That's a little disturbing to me, because it really should be in someone's hands. And it kind of is as an object, but I don't know. It's just not spelled out well enough. But I feel like if you get 2 people on there and can fire twice per turn, you're giving yourself way too big an advantage as the whalers. So what are we doing here? Well, what do I want to shoot is the first question. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Too far away. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So the first question is, I cannot hit the whale at all. this mast is blocking it. So actually, I'm not going to be able to fire that gun. I want to get somebody downstairs to help bail, I think. The fix-it chart, I believe I had the strength of all characters fixing, and that is, I don't know, Wong's got a strength of only 4. Benny is not very strong either. Phew. Okay. Well, one thing I can do is I can take an action, take one of my special actions to fire that off. Now, that is a once per turn action that I have to find. That is Pray to Neptune. And I should write that down somewhere that I did it. Again, you have to keep track of what the hell. Oh shit, what happened with this other thing? Yeah, forgot all about it, you know. I mean, this is why the modern CDGs and a lot of other games have little counters to remind you of shit like that. Things like no retreat and everything, because it's just so fucking easy to forget those bonuses. So that, you know, terrible. Okay, well, so yeah, I fired that off to get myself better movement on the ship. And beyond that, because that's going to be a couple of different points of movement there. Now, is there anything horrible that the evil player wants to do that's similar? I could prevent the ship from moving at all. I can call the Witch Wind, which just kind of negates that. Okay. So I don't know what I'm gonna do. I want to get somebody strong down into the galley. So let's see. Wong has a speed of 4. He could come 1, 2. Yeah, he could make it down there. So let's get some more strength into play. Who's strong and can do stuff? I don't know. We got to look at faces and try to see who they are. Mr. Ganadu, he's got a strength of 7 and a speed of 5. He seems like a good choice. So 1, 2, 3. And now I can move him 1, 2, 3. Get a second guy on there. Let's get somebody else who's strong. Unfortunately, I have hurt Fiery Path too much. I could burn a will to live to move. I'm just going to use one guy bailing because I want to keep the speed going. Okay. Is there anything that I can do as an attack? Well, everybody's manning something except for Fiery Path that can be used. So I can't even attack the whale and keep my movement up. I don't know that I have anything that's that great at attacking it. What about Berg here? He's got a fair attack, but it's still not anywhere near that 25 strength of the whale. So I think we're not going to do anything except try to fix the water there. So who's that trying to fix the water? I think it was Mr. Chandu with a strength of 7. And we look for the fixing chart and we add 7 to a die. We get an 11, which is 3 STR RF. Okay, we get to remove 1 flood marker. So we bailed. The 3 STR is the mast fixing, if we were doing that. Now, And yeah, a lot of ums and ahs here. There's no question of that. Now we get to sail. And it's crew and wind. So base movement is going to be the 4 for the crew, manning everything. The ship direction, I add 1, so it's 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, if I was closer, I'm worried about the sea witch there. I am going to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, reverse that. That's too much movement going towards the lighthouse. And that is my no move. And we'll write that down, I guess, on this side to remind me. Oh, you know, I forgot to roll for events. That was the first thing. Strange that it's up there. Okay, so I got to find the roll on that, and it is a 5 or a 6. There would have been an event. Good, there isn't one. Yeah, there wasn't one last turn either because I forgot about it. That puts us onto the evil action, and I got to bring something into play. Now the serpent's pretty good. The crab. Okay. We're gonna have to get the card for that. I think we want the serpent. I think it's a little stronger than the crab from what I can see. Ah, fuck. Alright, we're gonna cut the camera and try to fix the map. Maybe that's right. I'm not so sure about the sea witch here. See, things slide in different directions when you do that. That's not usually something that happens. Let's try it again. It has to do with, I think, the stiffness of both the rulebook and the map sheet. Should probably have some plexi over this if I'm going to have that problem happen again. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, that had moved a little, so I don't know. But the ship moved a lot, and I don't know what the hell to say about it. Where was I? I was trying to figure out how to put something into place. I know, I was looking at the 2 monsters where I can actually read them, which is not there. So the crab may attack adjacent hexes with claws at same strength, plus 2 strength when grabbing. Grabby, grabby, grabby. It doesn't... When revealed, climbs on, place on the edge of ship or adjacent to boat. Yeah, I don't know what that means. But the serpent head can move onto ship deck up to midsection, can move into galley of length prevents when revealed, head placed on revealed hex. So see, there appears to be 2 attack forms on this. I don't think there are on this, but I'm not sure, because they each have their own strength, which is similar to this. So who knows? Oh, this is silly. I'm not sure the whale could attack with both weapons, in which case, well, why would you use the tail? Yeah, let me look at the rules for another 10 minutes or so and see if I can figure out what the fuck's supposed to happen here. Because the ship's, you know, the whale is pretty big. It's going to cause the ship a lot of trouble. And now I got another big one coming. If this can make 3 attacks, 2 of them rather large on the ship, you know, we're going to start seeing 3 holes on a ship at the time or something. No reason to kill the crew members. Just destroy the ship. Okay, so before I do that, let me think about the whale, because actually a lot of people could hit the whale. There's the 1 versus range large rule. Yeah. I don't know. I think the movement was more important. I'll stick with the rule, with the decision that I made. But fiery, yeah, he's not in range to hit anything. Okay, screw it. Whatever. Okay. Because he can't move, his legs are crushed or something. He could drag himself a hex, but by expending will. So, yeah, now the one thing that I found that was determining towards this is a character can attack once per turn, but a character could defend from multiple attacks. I'm not seeing anything about the big creature, and I'm a little weird about, hey, what about this whale and his tail? You know, the tail's definitely not as effective, and the whale can move at 8. Why would you ever fucking use the tail? I don't know. Maybe there's some time when you would. But that's, and I'm not seeing anything. So I think I got 2 attacks with the whale and probably crushed Fiery Way or whatever. Fiery Path is his name. A little too easily. You know, again, the rules are not very tight. And you got to make kind of reasoned decisions here. And I don't know. Does it make sense that the whale would attack with both teeth and tail? I don't know. You know, it's not like you'd ever want to expose the tail instead of the teeth. The tail is the place where the whale can be hurt. So I don't know. But I certainly don't want to see 2 attacks by the whale and 3 attacks by the serpent. Sorry. I've got a little something and it might be what I had before. It's felt a little funny in terms of like my taste got escalated. Not reduced, but neither did my smell. So I don't know. I think I'm going to limit it to 1 attack per from now on, but who the hell knows? Okay. I'll bring the serpent in because I guess it's bigger. I don't know because I can't read the fucking card, but it has a big 35 strength. So yeah, we'll set that up. And oh, we got to look in the book because again the card is unreadable. When revealed, head placed on revealed hex. Oh, that's the difference. The crab could attack right away and start crushing things. But the crab's crushies is only adjacent space. Now, I don't know what this climbs on is. I don't think that's defined anywhere. Does that mean, you know, I can think of a few things that it could mean. It could mean that I'm pulled with the ship because I'm kind of on it. It could mean I'm in the ship and I can get on board the ship. There's something about getting on board ships, but I don't fucking know. And what's the speed of that serpent? Because if I can get the serpent close, I can do a lot of damage. So that's another issue. The serpent has a speed of 9 from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I can eat Fiery Path. So yeah, let's bring the serpent on. Okay, I'm trying to figure out how it actually fits. Oh wow, I got no battery symbol on this. I think it fits like this. So the tail was here. So if I reveal it, I guess this is, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck happens when I reveal it. I would think it would reveal on the hex that fits that piece, but I'm not really fucking sure. So let's see revealing. I mean, I'm going to want to fucking reveal it no matter what, but I don't know if that's where the head goes. Something said something about something like that. When revealed, head placed on revealed hex. Okay. So, yeah. So that's my front hex. So for whatever reason, the tail is the main piece to begin with, but then when I reveal it, the tail goes flying off somewhere. So I got a 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's not close enough. Why? I mean, I can bite a hole in the ship. Alright, we'll do that. I was counting on being able to eat Fiery Path. I think I'm not going to reveal this. I'm going to reveal the crab instead. So I put the crab here, and I think I'm like attached to the ship or something. It says when revealed climbs on. I don't know what that means, but place on the edge of a ship or adjacent to boat. But I think it can climb up the ship. So I'll just move up here and I will snatch him. Well, I get pluses when grabbing, but I don't particularly want to grab him. So I'll just attack him with my strength of 20. And he has, we had decided a strength of 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, something like that. So I've got plus 8. Okay, we got a possible problem there. 20, 21. No. We're doing 9 points of damage. But we rolled a 1, and we get nothing. What does nothing mean? I think that means there's no additional consequences, as opposed to no damage at all. Again, could have been phrased better. Okay, so I just did 9 points of damage to Fiery Path. I could just dodge with him, but yeah, I don't know. That crab is going to be pretty hard to hurt. And 9. Yeah, I'm pretty fucking hosed. Okay, well, we'll just let him, I guess he loses his will to live and a lot of strength. We'll just leave him alive because conceivably he's a problem as long as he's sitting at that gun and can like fire it at someone with a fair amount of strength. The reason you'd use the tail is it's a way to hit things that are on the ship, is basically the deal, I guess. I want to get kind of behind the ship, and so I'm going to just move this out of the way a little bit. I don't know how far it is. 2, 4, 6. Let's put it back here. And then I'll try to bite the ship again, which is, I do 40, the ship's a 15. Oh look, I do enough damage to hold the ship again. And I'll put another, I guess I can mark these this way. And the Sea Witch, well, the Sea Witch sucks right now. It has no ranged weapon. She lost her thing. So she's just gonna kind of run away. And I believe that's the end of turn 2 there. I got no idea how much time this camera eats up. It's showing like 1 minute, 10 seconds, which is since the last time I did this. It doesn't give me information on how much space I have left or anything, which is different from the older cameras, which were much more automatic. They just did what they're supposed to, and also more informative as to where I am. I don't know why they decided to make the Averio into a piece of shit, but they did. To reevaluate what the whalers are up to. The boat's taking on water. Well, ship. A couple of water in there. Let me roll a random event before that happens. Okay. I forgot to draw another monster. This one is the fungus. A fungus shows up on the ship and starts infecting people. And I'm not sure if I want that or if I want to keep trying to eat the ship. Both are scary prospects. So the ship is, didn't move forward last turn. That was a big move. So that's kind of painful. In addition, you know, the question comes down to, do I want my characters to try to fight off these big monsters that are kind of causing problems, or is it more important for me to try and just try to sail through it? Now, it's pretty obvious to me that that whale has to die, so I've kind of screwed up and let it have a couple of holes in the ship. One, I don't think I could have prevented. The second one, you know, I could have turned the ship to get the harpoon into play. I could have done other things as well. Now, I'm looking at Fiery Path here, and if he moved into this space, he would have to attack, but being that he's there, he might be able to fire, I think he's able to fire the harpoon cannon at, like, the whale, and, you know, start hurting the whale. I need to be able to hit the whale tail, though, and that's not easy. With the whale behind me, I don't know if I can really hurt it. If we look at the harpoon gun, it's not that powerful. In fact, even compared to the tail, it's not that powerful. What kind of capability do we get off of this? You know, one of these tables that I didn't really worry about. Well, we can do little bits of damage to it. Oh, boy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man. It just looks hopeless to me. These big critters, and, you know, it's one big critter, the whale, that's just fucking with this. And, of course, that harpoon gun is supposed to be able to take down a whale, but unless I can find the tail at decent range, and even so, the tail is still 25 strength points. That's still bigger than the harpoon cannon can do. Urgh. Now, one of the things that's weird here is this is 1 versus range. One character, roll 1d6 and add the weapon and or strength. It's really unlikely that you're going to get very good damage there. That whale is going to be really hard to pick off. And it's got a lot of will to kill. I'm not sure what happens, like, if I take 25 points, does that knock the tail out? Even though, because I know it's accumulated between the two. Oops. Oh, jeez. Trying to figure out this game is, you know, there's a really cool idea here, but the way... If lowering large creature strength, the strength of each token is decreased together. Yeah, so, like, I could take away... If I do 25 hits to it, the tail is out of the game, and the head's a lot weaker. I kind of feel like I gotta blow the shit out of that thing, rather than worry about moving. So I think we're going to be using a number of attacks on that 1 versus. So let me see where the hell, what happens order-wise. So whaler actions happen first. So yeah, I guess I'll shoot the harpoon cannon at the crab. The crab's strength 20. The harpoon cannon only does 15. I don't know if I have it equipped or not, if I could have defended myself with it. And I think that's a 0. It looks like it's got the 2 little squares in it. Well, I mean, if I could have defended myself with it, obviously I would have. But that seems weird. Like, it's a fixed item. Could I do 1 versus large? No, I'm not at range. So 15 to 20, I'm at -5. I mean, I'm just going to be killing myself. That seems stupid. And it's not a large creature, it's just a normal creature. So now we start looking at other people. Well, a revolver. What are we going to see here? A revolver has a strength of 10 at range. It doesn't add strength, I would assume. Oh, but it shoots twice separately in an attack action. What the hell does that mean? Does that mean I add 20? Or does it mean that I roll twice at 10? Huh? Good God. Oh. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, if it shoots at 20, well then I guess it gives a 10 defense. You know, that's the big difference. Well, 20 sounds pretty cool. So I think, oh, that's not Benny, is it? Maybe it is. I'm confused because I thought Benny was back here. Oh, no, he jumped over. Okay, so I'm not going to man that mast. I'm going to fire instead. I guess I'm 20 versus 20. And the crab can't hurt me. That sounds cool. Okay, well, I do nothing. And that's his action. Who's next here? Some dude with a hat. This is Jebediah. He has a hook thingy, which has a range. It could do a 3. It doesn't say anything about strength on there, I don't think. Oh wait, it does. It says add strength. It's just very hard to read. Okay, so he would have a strength of 10. That's not very good. So I'm going to save him to do a mast. Maybe Benny will move over here. Now he could get drunk instead, which is useful too. But so if I've got him on a mast, well, I don't know. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. What about Wong? Wong has probably shitty weapons. What about this dude, Berg? Berg has this rifle. His rifle is really good at range 3. I'll fire at the tail. Oh, that's range 4. I walk down here and I fire at the tail at range 3. I'm in danger of getting hit there. That's a 16. I'm going to use the versus 1 table. I actually could be a +1 on the tail. Is that better? Geez, I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't have to run so far if I'm going to go on the versus 1 table, wherever that is. The 1 versus large. $16, $17, $18, $19. You know what? I think my odds are better. I'm going to stand here with the captain, and I'm going to shoot. Okay, I rolled a 1. That means I do 1 hit to the whale, but I also think I have to roll on the rolling 1 table. I get a 3. I dropped the weapon. Okay, there goes the rifle. I threw it someplace where I can't find it near the wheel, and it's just gone from the game now. I don't know. Well, that wasn't very good, and I do have to mark a hit on the whale strength side. I can't do this because of the deformation on these cards. I just needed another hand to hold the card in place. I couldn't write on it, and if it was just paper, it probably would have been a problem anyway, and it would have been blowing all over the place because of my heater. Right, so that's him. What about the captain? Maybe the captain wants to do something too. I feel pretty hosed here. He's got a pistol. I can fire that pistol. Now, on the base thing, I'd be firing a +5, which is pretty good. That looks better than the 1 versus range table. So we'll do that. So I'm at +5 with the pistol. Okay, I get an 8. This gets a 5. That means I did 3 hits on the tail. Okay, I could be taking speed or will to kill. I think I'll take will to kill. I don't know why I took a point off strength, which actually reduced that by 1. So actually I'm taking all the hits on the will to kill instead. Now I've got to find an eraser. The one on the pencil doesn't work well. Everything's fucked up in my life, right? Yeah, these are known fuck ups. Yeah, so I'll put all 4 over on that. Okay, so now I gotta find this little Jeb guy. He could punch something or he could do something else. Jeez. Let's move the captain back a couple of spaces after he moves. Let's move him to take the wheel, because that's the most efficient way to pilot the to move the ship, is to have somebody on the wheel. That gets me 1 movement. Who's this guy? I don't know. Do I have somebody who looks like that? Oh, that's the captain. I just moved him. I got Berg. Berg is here. He did something. So all I got is Wong and Jebediah, and they'll pilot one of the things, one of the masts. That gets me to a base movement of 2, and now he'll try to do what he does, and he's at like 7, trying to bail. That's going to be problematic. 8, that's, I get rid of 1 flooding marker. But we're taking on water faster than I'm dumping it out. I think that's all my characters. I don't know for sure. There's not an easy way to mark them. There aren't a lot, so it should be easy, but it isn't for me. I think I want the evil player to do his special ability of call the witch wind and shift this here. And I'll write that down. I think I'm allowed to do that kind of at any time. And that drops movement from 2 down to 1, which means this goes 1 forward this time, and everything slides down. Okay. Not the crab, it's on deck. And that gets us, let's make sure we did things in the right order. That's not where the order is it? Oh yeah, it is. It's funny because like this gives all the actions. That's useful, but like some of the other stuff doesn't give much information. For example, the event phase doesn't give the on a 5 or a 6 you do one. So now I'm on the evil phase. I get to land something. The fungus is attractive to me because that attacks everyone. If I find that. Sea fungus. I think that's the counter I have. Again, I have to rely on these images. It looks like it. Now, if I put that on any hex of the ship or boat, doesn't move, and it stays on the ship or boat for the rest of the game, every adjacent character has to roll a d6 for infection. And on a 6 you're infected, and then what? Well, if you're killed, you become you roll character, you roll damage. I don't know what that means. Any infector character roll damage. There's no indication of how much damage I roll or anything like that. So maybe like a die worth of damage just automatically happens. And if infected, you can amputate the fungus as an action. You lose 5 damage. You're cured, but you can be infected again. Well, that seems like a great thing to do. Right here. Now, when is it done? On the fungus turn. I get another shit. What I play? I got something weird like a whirlpool or something. I gotta find the fungus to mark that that's what's here. Yeah, so I guess we roll a 6 on every character that's adjacent. So the little kid with the hat. No. Whoever's under him. No. And Berg. And no. And the reason the fungus is good here is that I'm hitting both one of the masts and the steering wheel. And there's no way that I can see to get the fungus off the boat. It's just a nastiness that I'm going to have to deal with for the rest of the game. Why did the whale not get moved? I guess it did. Okay. So now the evil player will shift to here. I think the tail's here, and I'll bite the boat again. We are at still strength 40. I don't want to use the will to kill against 15. 52 against 18. That's another hit. So we get another hole on the ship. Alright, the ship is looking like a really unpleasant thing. We may start dropping boats. These things look horrible. The Sea Witch, I don't want to move her yet. She's not really where I want her. Like, she's so useless right now. Mainly I just want to keep her from losing the game for me. But the crab, well, maybe we want to kill Fiery Path, because he's sitting on that gun and that could be dangerous. So I've got a 20 strength to, I don't know, we'd said it was 12, but I think maybe I can defend myself with that gun at 15. So call it +5, I don't know, whatever. Okay. So 12 to 6 means 6 points get done to the crab. We'll take that off will to kill. I gotta need to shut the camera down to write. Taking these off will because, you know, honestly, it's a temporary stat. It's not worth it. And we have to roll a die to see what happens to the crabby, because he rolled a 1. 4 gun out of harpooner bullets. Well, I don't think anything could have affected it. And then our last thing is the Sea Witch, and I'm gonna shift the witch 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't want to move it off the map because then it pollutes my cup again, you know. But I do want to keep it away from things. And I think that's it for the turn again. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Things do not look good for the boat. Okay, we got spooky wind weather, which says remove clear and fog weather. I think that means we get wind, because up here rain does the same way. And I think just wind is in play. Plus or -1 to wind direction. Example, if wind already adds +1, now it adds +2. Well, it's at -1 speed for characters outside, huh? Oh, it's going to slow people down. The wind is going to slow people down walking around outside. The wind increases its power. So instead of being -1, it's a -2. Yeah, this is weird. Damage roll results are doubles if something ends up on fire. I don't think anything's on fire yet. Again, this could be worded a lot better. We had a successful random event. This is what comes up from it. Now the fact that characters outside have their speed reduced, I think that includes like the whale. Certainly should include the Sea Witch who's flying around. But yeah, it's kind of like a lot of the stuff in the game, a lot of the writing is hard to interpret. to put it mildly. On the bright side, Nate managed to send me a PDF of the cards, and he's actually going to replace them. I knew if he heard it, he would, and I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of feel guilty, but except for one thing. My wife took one look at what was going on. I told her a little bit about the story of what was going on, and she was instantly hooked into, yeah, I want to play this, you know. So at least I'll be getting another play out of it, which, and given we haven't played a game together in over a year, I think the last time I remember playing anything with my wife was we had a big snowstorm, and we played a couple of little games just to, you know, that we had no electricity, no heat, nothing. And I had very little wood. So it was just kind of a really weird situation where we were, I had enough wood for one day, and we ended up playing some games, trying to keep warm with what little wood I had. Because it made her be upstairs instead of downstairs, where it was a little bit warmer, but without the stove, not so much. And it was so great to have the ability to like heat water, you know, boil up some ramen noodles, because all of our food was just, you know, whatever the temperature of the house was. There was no way to heat anything up. So that's the events, the water rising. I've got 3 holes now. Things are beginning to look really bad. I think, let's see. I think we're at a point where I have to consider abandoning ship and getting those boats in the water. The only other option would be to try to fight the water in the hold with so many people, and that's going to be problematic. I think the crew is doomed. I really do. But we'll see if we can, you know, maybe get one of those boats to safety at the very least. Between the fungus and everything else, we want to get out of here. So we're going to come 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2. I'm not sure. Hold on, where is he? He's here, I think. Maybe he was on the thing. Let's see what we can move. Who's that? That's Benny the steward. He only has a speed of 3. Up the boat. 1, 2, 3. Jeez. I'm gonna have trouble getting everybody onto the boats. Okay, I'm going to try to get 4 people onto this boat and drop it. The problem, of course, is the whale's just going to destroy the boats. But that's life, right? Or death. I've gotten a full boat here. Somebody takes as their action to drop the boat into the water. Sploosh. And now 3 of the 4 people can navigate the boat. Or we could shoot at the whale. That's the problem. The whale, of course, has like 20 will to live. It has enough speed to catch the boat. I don't see a way out of this. We could try to fungus the whale. Can the whale fungus? No, the whale cannot take fungus. This is not good. So yeah, I may want to get... He has already moved, unfortunately. Jeez. All right. 1, 2, 3. I mean, it's all I can do. Let me make sure I'm doing boats right in terms of movement. I think that's right. This is going to be the pain no matter what. Like, if my wife and I are playing too, we're going to have to be constantly looking up. You know, like boats is not all handled in one place. I think it's got to be handled in movement, but it's not really character movement. Is it in ship movement? Boat movement. Yeah. Jeez, I don't know. Oh, fuck. Where's the boat movement? The whaler pays full manning master. No. God damn it. Steering. I know that there are rules for rowing a boat. Is that manning, mast, wheel, steer? I don't think so. It's going to take me a while to find this again. You know, I mean, you can see I'm spending a couple minutes here, and it's just going to take more time. Brief and somewhat random interlude. I had my wife print out, and these came out perfectly, both printed as PDF, although they came out too large to fit on a single sheet that way. This was converted to an image and then printed. You know, I don't know what happened with the one set of pages and why it didn't work. So there's just weirdness between, you know, what her computer accepts and what it doesn't, and it's like, I don't know. But what I found very interesting, remember, I didn't know what a monkey fist meant. Well, it looks like this, and it turns out that we have a bunch of friends in the kitchen. This is the closest we come to a social life, and the two of the more nautical ones decided to show up because they have similar cards, and one turns out to be a monkey fist. For some reason we had made it some kind of sea critter, and he got a tri-corner hat and took command of a boat that is one of our friends too. But also we have a shark, which kind of fits the fish. I'll send them back to the kitchen, although they're awfully interested in this game, and so is my octopus. And then I'll try to figure out what the hell is going on with the boat movement. And again, you know, I mean, I can just fake it, but what I'm worried about here is, does the wind affect the boat movement in particular? And should it, you know? But I honestly don't know. And I gotta be careful with the sea movement. I had that whale able to move 8. It's a character. It has to spend, like, I think 3 movement per hex to move in the sea, and I've been moving it too quickly. I've been cheating for evil too much. I think. I don't know. Although I certainly, well, I wouldn't have been able to tail flap him, but of course I did 2 attacks and I wouldn't have done the tail flap. I would have just been trying to wreck the boat. So yeah, I mean, evil's been getting some definite advantages here. One thing, this was the thing I was most worried about, the Halloween mask, which I absolutely did not have and had no idea how I could handle. And I kind of saw what it did in the video. I'm still a little confused. Evil attacking wearer. I'm assuming how to parse that is the difficulty, right? Well, why would an evil attacking person be wearing it? So I'm assuming somebody who's wearing it confuses evil and makes the evil penalized somehow. But nobody's got it. I looked over all the characters. I assume this is going to show up somewhere in the random events then? I don't know. There it is. Yeah. Okay. There we go. And it's more specific there. So, yeah, but I got to figure out the boat movement and make sure that I'm doing that right. And I'm still like in the middle of moving characters, which is one of the problems. You start doing a lookup and man, you know, you got to remember how many movement points people have used and everything like that. But we're abandoning the ship. Ooh, I got somebody up here. Uh-oh. I wonder how fast he is. That's not Benny, but it looks kind of like him with that hat. It's Hamfish. Speed of 5. Yeah, so I got to remember to bring him down or else we got problems. Doing it right. All evil move across water 1 speed except for the sea people and sinister neutral characters. So yeah, the whale is incredibly potent. I still haven't found the boat movement here, except here. Boats move provided they have characters manning them. Each character in the boat at the beginning of the turn can provide 1 movement across the water. Wow, we weren't in the boat at the beginning of the turn. Doesn't matter much. That whale can catch them. So. It doesn't look like we actually have to do any action for that. So I've got 3 guys in the boat there who can use their weapons on that versus 1 table, 1 versus large target table. So the captain has his big gun, but his big gun isn't very good against the 40-point head of the whale, and he's too far away to hit the tail. So, what's he got? He's got 20 on the 1 versus large. He gets 25. He'll do 3 hits on the whale. And I'll go through anyone else who has firepower there in that hex. I was unable to recognize someone. I may have had Big Jeb in here and I had Big Jeb and got him confused with Conrad. So I'm gonna re-roll because Jeb didn't, because Conrad only has the C-hook. He lost his rifle or his musket. So with the revolver, we're actually at a strength of 20 against the whale, which means on the versus 1 table, we do 2 extra points of damage. So I've gotten 11 points, all against the will to kill on the whale. The steward took a shot from here and then is running towards this last boat. He's pretty much a sacrificial character at this point. He's too slow, but he's got a revolver on him, so maybe he can hurt something. Did I want Fiery Path, who has almost nothing left, to fire the harpoon cannon? It's only a 15 against the crab, so you know, chances are I'm just going to kill myself if I try to do that. So I think I'll hold off on that. And we got 2 boats in the water, both full. I think we're doomed though. And that's going to put me to the whaler ship movement phase. There is no ship move as per se. What there is, however, is involuntary movement from the wind, which is going to be 2 hexes this way. And that is going to move everybody forward. And most importantly, the whale slams into the boat, or the boat slams into the whale, and that is another 40 hitting a 15. We got another hole happening here. 20 43 to 20, that's another hole. Puts me now to the evil actions. And I have to summon something. I don't know what this is. Let's look up what that is. The whalers are so fucked. That's a hurricane. Roll a d6 to change wind direction. All wind directions add 2. Roll a d6 for hurricane effects. Can blow people off the boat. Flood the galley. Break wet. Possibility of capsizing boats. That's pretty minor. This doesn't look too bad for the little boats, to tell you the truth. Well, wait, it can blow characters out of the boats. That's pretty bad. Or we can bring the sea serpent on board. And the sea serpent is placed on a revealed hex. So if I put that over here, it can start going after the boats. And I think the sea serpent's a better choice. Now, one of the special abilities of the evil player is to be able to throw... I've gotten nothing other than the sea witch that I had to play on the board. One of the special abilities of the evil player is I can call for a specific creature to draw. So I could get something like this shark, which is pretty potent, or the kraken, and I think that's a good idea just to prevent me from drawing something shitty that, you know, might help the sailors. Not sure what the sailors might want to be able to do. Bunch of adrenaline, 2-weapon attack, dodge attack. I could dodge with a boat, but yeah, it doesn't look very promising right now. My first move is the whale. I was moving up and trying to bite a boat. Now, I don't know which boat this is. I'm gonna have it to keep track. D. They're all the same, but so I've got a 40 strength going after a 10 strength. I'm at plus 30. I think I'm pretty much guaranteed to eat the boat. 44 to 22. Yeah, I eat the boat. That drops everybody in the water. There's some overstacking, and I believe there are rules when there's overstacking that people end up having to splash about into an adjacent hex. I'll have to look that up. But it does mean that everybody's in the water, and at some point they're also going to have to draw water cards. It means a couple more rules lookups. Another 10-15 minutes, not on video, I hope, with me looking to try to find these specifics. Again, when you've got a lot of little funky little stuff, and this game is all about that, right? And that you're trying to represent, it's hard to catch, you know? It's not like there's a lot of generalized rules that are applied regularly. You know, I mean, there's some things I remember, like the water filling the ship. Well, the ship's going to have enough water, it's just going to sink. That's going to drop these guys into the water, and all kind of problems happen from that. How we centralize where the boat is. So one of these boats, well, there's only one boat. That boat is going to become the center of the world very shortly. And how we centralize that boat, I think we're going to shift it to the middle, and that's going to shift counters about. But I'm not sure. There's no rules for that I've seen. It could just be that this becomes the center somehow. I don't know. Again, things are weird, you know. It's like, ideally, this is a little off course at this point, and that should be accounted for. But again, do we do that? Do we not? The rules don't say, but logic does. Okay, so here's the special thing with the boat death. When the boat gets 0, any characters in the boat are reduced to 0. They must roll for damage and are placed in the water. If overstacking, they go in adjacent hexes. I'm going to say it the crew member's choice. Roll for damage. Just making sure that there's nothing on here that talks about it. I don't see anything there, so I'm just going to do a d6 damage to each character that's on the boat. It took me a little while to find the Kraken, and then I realized what I'm supposed to be doing. I think that's the right counter for it. Some of the counters, it's hard to recognize. There were a couple of cards that it could have been, or a couple of counters. And I still haven't done either the Sea Serpent or the Sea Witch. The Sea Serpent might be able to get to the boat and crush another boat. So we'll roll the damage on each character, and they probably can all survive this, but again, things look hopeless. And I think this is where we are at the end of the turn. The Sea Serpent couldn't get close enough to the boats. I could have hit the big ship, but there's no point. It's clearly going down. The whale head is under here. The Sea Witch moving into place. Hey, maybe I can, pick off a drowning character. When do characters start getting trouble from the water? I don't know when they take their water cards. That's in the optional rolls. Okay. At the end of their own turn, they take treading water problems, but water deck each time a whaler in neutral enters the water, we roll a die. Okay, so I've got 4. Oh. So this might be the damage that I roll for, and I just accumulated all that. I don't know. Again, maybe there was something else that was intended in the rolls, and the water cards or what it's supposed to be. So let's try something more exciting. So for the captain, and I'm just going to use a die here because, okay, so 6. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6. Landed on a sea turtle, can move in water each turn at 1 speed. Good God. I mean, how do I track that? There's no counter for it. If I take the card out, it's not available for anyone else, which I don't know. Let's just take the card out. But that means no one else gets sea turtle bonus. Jesus. I'm going to write that down because that's better than what he can do otherwise. A turtle theme here, and since none of this seems to do damage, Turtle Man carries character to nearest evil in water. If no evil, carries 5 hexes away from ship. Well, I mean, I'm as close to the evil as I can be. I don't know. I'll just ignore that. Okay, Jebediah also landed on a sea turtle, so he gets a 1 move per turn. Wong got deep water, no effect. I'm leaving the damage that I rolled because there doesn't seem to be an explanation of that. This game is tough for the sailors, though, so maybe you don't want to do that. It's really tough. And now there's also the treading water damage, which is going to be particularly painful. Basically, anybody who falls in the water is fucked. I don't see a way of surviving that. And we're at the end of the turn. And I'm just going to come back with, gosh, I don't know what the hell's happening. But yeah, I mean, I could call this game. I could have called it much earlier. I think, so here's the thing. The whale in and of itself is pretty damn devastating. And you could take that desire ability, which allows you to grab any creature you like. The only bad thing that happened to the evil player was drawing the Sea Witch as their starting creature. But their next 2 critters were pretty potent. The sea serpent and the whale, and The crab wasn't bad, as can be seen. The mold wasn't bad. What I've got in my hand isn't bad. Obviously, I picked the Kraken. I haven't gotten anything that allowed, other than that initial sea witch piece, that allowed any respite at all for the crew. And, however, like I said, I think the whale may be enough to just take the ship down damn near. And given that, well, you can ensure that you get that on your second turn. Because on the first turn, you get your automatic character and you get one play. And that one play, you might get stuck with something bad, whatever. But unless you draw 2 neutral characters at the beginning of the game, unless you draw 3 bad cards at the beginning of the game, well, call it 2. 2 neutrals in your initial status or whatever, or a sea witch in a neutral, you have the opportunity to call something big, and that something big, the whale, is definitely sort of the trump card in it. And this whaling ship can't handle that whale. It really can't. Maybe the answer there is everybody run to the side of the deck and try to kill the whale and get it dead as quickly as possible. I wasn't thinking that, and there were a couple of turns where I went by without hurting it. Now you can see what I could do. For the most part, that 11 points of damage, most of that was done in one turn. And there were a couple points that were done in a previous turn, but you gotta do quite a bit, though, to start breaking into it. You got to either cut into its speed so it can't catch you, and or cut into its strength. Now, its strength, as long as it's above 15, is going to be able to hurt you, which means, we're looking at, say, 40 points of damage I got to do. Let's say you do 10 a turn. The ship's pretty fucked by the time you're done with it, and evil has gotten other characters into play. So yeah, I do not think this is gonna be ever very good for the crew. Something to help justify the hey, they take a die roll of damage in the water as well as the water card. The water card is part of the advanced rules. The roll a die for damage, whatever that may mean, for landing in the water, is part of the base rules. So I don't think the water card is a replacement, or that this was referring to that, but I can't be sure. The other thing is, I'm thinking about this because the ship is sinking this turn. It's taking on 3 more water. That puts it to the 7. Actually, it's taking on 4 more water. And that's going to send it down. And that means that people on board the ship are going to fall in the water and take problems. I wonder if it means the boats are going to fall in the water. I kind of don't feel like they should come loose, but I don't know, maybe. We'll leave some mold on this boat if it does. So really, almost everything in the advanced rules is bad for the sailors, and I don't think, given what we've seen so far, that the sailors really need to be harmed anymore. So I may just disregard most of that. Like the treading water is just gonna fucking kill them, but they're in trouble anyway. They can't move around in the water, so might as well kill them off that way since I planned on it. We had no event, and we have the ship sinking, and I guess everything that's in the boat is gonna take a die roll of damage as they're placed in the water, and they're also gonna get a water card for the whaler characters. As I started rolling, the crab took a bunch of hits. It rolled a 6, so I said, hey, that's a 12, and it lost a fair amount of strength. It's down to a 12 strength, which is still pretty potent, and it can probably drown Fiery Path if he's still there, which he is, because he took 3 damage, which is all he has left, so he draws a kill card, and he has stomach problems. Now, stomach problems doesn't look to me like it has any markers on it that match, and boy does this fuck with the camera, that match water in any sense of the word. So, he not only doesn't take damage, but he actually gains a will to live. And Benny took a couple points, and each of the boats also took some damage. Now, whether or not the boats survive, I'm leaving them on the board because that can only help the whalers, and they need what they can get at this point. So, that's the taking on water phase. And now, this becomes the fastest boat. Now, this is where things get tricky. Do I rearrange everything or leave them in place? It's easier if I leave them in place, but in a sense, they are displaced by a couple hexes from the ship. So ideally, this thing should be moved over. One way to handle that is to say, hey, I'm in this column, I gotta end up in this column. I don't know quite how to handle that. But I'm gonna have to move this thing over to here. Does that make sense? That would be, let me think. Yeah. I think that would be, if I move this way, that would displace this way. I think. That's what it would seem like if you're trying to picture the movement. Everything's been straightforward with the ship. So I'm in kind of the wrong column right now. I've got to get this marker up to this column. I think that's the way to make up for it. I am in the right place here, so I don't have to play with that at all, and that would be hard to play with. Or I could just leave it as is. It doesn't really matter because I don't think that boat is going to make it anywhere. And that puts me over to the whaler phase. And we get to move. Route. On the rule that was bothering me, I thought there was something that said, whalers in a boat kind of have to be rowing the oars, and that's their action. It's not how it's worded. Boats move provided they have characters manning the boat. Each character can provide one movement. But in dropping off and picking up, if somebody leaves the boat, they cannot have provided movement. So as far as I can tell, you can be rowing the boat and fire the musket or throw a harpoon or whatever. I'm not so bothered by the harpoon, but kind of firing the musket feels a little different. But in a sense, it's kind of like rowing the boat is your movement with the boat. So we can get closer to, if I can find him, the sea serpent, which is quite a potent creature, and try to kill that, or maybe steer off this way and head for the sea witch. We don't have room for anybody else on that boat, and everybody else has problems. So we'll see what those problems are. Hey, I forgot to draw a water card for Benny and for Fiery Path. So let's do those. Let's do Fiery Path first. He gets a 9. That should be this one. Make 3 attack rolls versus 9 strength. Any killed card kills. I have no idea what just happened there. It's unreadable to me. Yeah. Okay, so 3 attack rolls versus 9 strength. Well, Fiery Path has a strength. Wait, he can use his tomahawk to defend him. Now, I've got the stats on the tomahawk. It's like a 5, so I had that misrepresented. So he has a strength of 8 versus 9. Okay, well, just there, I lost a whole bunch. So, since any kill card kills, I don't have to draw a kill card as far as I'm concerned. and I believe Fiery Path is dead. What to do with this one? Fell tangled in rope attached by rope to ship's boat. Presumably this would drag him underwater, but I'm just going to ignore it because there are no specific rules about it. But if I were using Mr. Logic, he would have to like probably spend an action untying himself or something like that to try to figure out what's going on there. All right. Now what? Well, there are restrictions for the crew in the water. Right. It doesn't seem to penalize you. I thought there was something where you couldn't use weapons when you were in the water. Characters must spend speed. I'm not seeing anything. Again, reason would say, yeah, I probably shouldn't be able to be swimming and fire a musket, but maybe a pistol, assuming that it's not soaked. You know, this is all troublesome. And again, would be all these special rules, which again, you know, if the game were game mastered, the game master would be able to do this kind of stuff and make up these missing rules. And I kind of feel like I should be doing that just because it is such a lightly designed game in a lot of ways, or developed game. You know, it feels almost like half the rules that you'd need for a role-playing game adventure rather than what's intended to be played as a board game. And a lot of it feels that way. It feels like too big a project to have taken on in the scope of this magazine game. What do I want to do with the crew? Well, in order to figure that out, I've got to basically investigate each of these people. So Conrad Berg, within one range, he can attack something. Whoever that is, he's got a couple little weapons. One which can be used at range. That's not Benny, that's someone else. Is that Hamish? Hamish is armed with a knife, which isn't going to do much good. You can't even throw him. And that is this guy with his two knives, and I don't think he has anything special where he can throw them. He's equipped with a hard-on and knives. Let's see what he's actually supposed to have on him. It's almost certainly not a hard-on. A harpoon. Oh, yes. Everyone's got a harpoon. We could chuck some harpoons. Interesting question. Let's get rid of Fiery Path. Okay. I don't know why he doesn't have one. I don't know where his harpoon went to. Oh, there it is. There are also harpoons on board the boat. Harpoon has a range, well, again, at 2 hexes we can do some damage. So I'm gonna, I think I'm gonna move it. Let me look at the harpoon again. Yeah, the harpoon is actually at 1 hex that it's good. So let's move 1, 2, 3. Definitely not the best place. But, you know, the serpent's able to catch me no matter where I go. So let's go there and let's chuck a bunch of harpoons. And those will be on the 1 versus range large table, because this is a large critter. And we'll just see if we can beat it up. It's too big to really hurt, though. Grand total of 3 hits on there, and I don't know if you can read it through my stains. And everybody's thrown their harpoons, and now we're ready to be killed. Now the question is, with these others, there's some who are sitting on turtles, which I guess I'm not going to worry about the treading water. Screw it. The game's complicated and deadly enough for everybody on board. So we got the captain. Well, captain's got a speed of 5. However, he's on a turtle. Doesn't really help. So he'll ride a space, but he still has his revolvers at range 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Geez, I don't know. I mean, everything's too big for me. The serpent's more important, I guess. The revolvers add up for 20. So we'll shoot that at the serpent. And I'll just take care of each movement, and I'll come back after the whole event. The revolver only does 3 at this range, so that kind of sucks. The harpoon's not much better, so I don't know. I did some damage that I should erase from the serpent. I actually did 2 points of damage firing from the turtle. Screw it. But yeah, I don't know if I want to fire a 6-point shot at this. I mean, there's basically no chance that I can do any damage with that. On the other hand, there was the whale. I could shoot at the whale. So I'm going to do that damage to the whale, and I'm going to do damage from another one. I just uncovered it and forgot it was there. So get the big 20 there. Oh, the captain dropped his gun before, and so does he. We got somebody who has a revolver left? I don't think so. That's another item gone. But that ended up being a 21, another 2 points. So I'll take 2 points off the serpent and add 4 to the whale. Is almost out of his will to kill, which he's had 18 out of 20 of that. That stuff that I can lose without any harm, basically. Bunch of shots happening at him, and yeah, I mean, you know, maybe I'll kill a monster. That would be a victory at this point, in my view. You know, it looks pretty damn hopeless. Now, oh shit, I moved this instead of the serpent, so everything should move back. 1 over and 3 down, I think. I think I've got the positioning right. It's a pain in the butt once the boat is gone and you're having to deal with everything, like floating all the counters because one counter's moving. That is a painful thing, but we're moving closer to our lighthouse. Not that we'll have any chance of making it. And that puts us to the whaler ship movement. There isn't any. And now the evil player actions. I get to summon something, and I've got to look up that hurricane again, see what that's going to do to little guys in the water, as well as the Kraken. The Kraken would be showing up, you know, somewhere like here or there, and I think it has multiple attacks, so it's a pretty good option. I don't think the hurricane's very good at people who are already in the water. The big deal with it is you can blow people off the boat and do big damage to the boat. The tentacles here, and again, it feels like something's not quite right. So for example, the strength of the head is 30, each tentacle is 15. But these are all allocated at once, the way the rules are written. So you kind of get the feeling that something else was attempted and didn't work. And then the decision was, hey, you know, let's make it, this thing, you know, just has 30 strength points. Because if you do 15 points, you knock out both of the tentacles, the way the rules are written, for whatever that's worth. Alright, I'm going to have to swap batteries because this thing sucks them dry. The serpent moves 1 forward, and then it slides these forward, and bites the boat. Now the serpent's a 35, and the boat's got a strength of 10. Yeah. So 25 and 12 is 37. I just broke that boat. And we do all the fun with dropping people into the water again. With all the sailors in the water, the boat's kind of too far away for them to get to, and a bunch of monsters coming at them. I'm going to call this here. I'm not sure there's much I could have done differently. Okay, I made one cheat early on. The tail smacked fiery path when it shouldn't have been able to. And what of that? Not much. Maybe I could have patched a hole or something, but the whale was going to eat us up. I made the error of not shooting up the whale. As soon as that thing shows up, I think all the crew members have to give up everything they're doing and try to do as much damage as they can on this. And then once, they can keep picking up harpoons and throwing them and shit like that. The only exception would be maybe try to turn the ship so you can get an arc of fire with the harpoon gun on it. It can move around quickly enough, though, that I think that's going to be hard to do. You're gonna be spinning that wheel. You're gonna have someone spinning the wheel, and try. And I just think that the whale is more maneuverable than the ship. Beyond that, it just feels like there isn't a whole hell of a lot that the crew can do here. And like I said, yes, I got a lucky draw initially with the whale and the serpent as my first two critters in my hand. Sure, I got penalized by the sea witch, but I honestly don't think that no matter what you draw early on, you can get that whale pretty early. Unless you get a horrendous set of draws, you can get that whale into play, and that whale looks like enough to take the boat down. I mean, everybody attacking it hasn't been able to do that much. The evil player has the capability to pull one critter of their choice once per game, as long as they're not being boned by counters that prevent them from playing it. They can get it on the board. I also actually could have used another ability to bring the Kraken in closer to people. There's a move something closer. I don't know that I really need that. It just looks hopeless. The sailors are not going to be able to swim their way to the location, and the water's full of monsters. The only boat that's available to them, one of them's got fungus on it, the other one's next to one with fungus, and we won't be able to move that boat, so we'll get a chance of fungus infections in the course of it. I really don't think that this is I don't think it's possible or anywhere close to likely that the whalers are going to be able to get a victory out of not just this situation, but the game in general. There's some neat ideas in it, but it looks terribly unbalanced in addition to other issues that seem to indicate that it just wasn't developed. Now, my guess is, and I'll go into some reasons for this in the review, is that there was a nifty idea here and it started to be, produced and everything, and maybe the trigger was pulled on it too early with the idea that we can iron some kinks out. But honestly, I don't think that the kinks could be ironed out. I feel like the core of the game is designed in such a way that, it really is going to be this problematic task to get a workable game out of it. It is a framework that one could use for an RPG type situation, but I can't see. I'm just looking at what you'd have to do to develop, it into something more workable. And one of the problems is just the disconnect between the amount of things that you have to represent in this game. Unlike Psycho Raiders, which is just handling fairly simple ground movement and stuff. The whole concept of the ship trying to move towards locations while being swamped by various monsters. There's something neat about it, but it feels like way too much has to be left up in the air to fit into any kind of reasonable rule book. The only thing that could kind of handle it is like a full role-playing game system with this being the special rules, this being kind of a module of, yeah, here's some stuff that could happen to you at sea, and it would probably have to be a much, much deeper book to handle that anyhow. Of course, it would have a more complex combat system because the role-playing game would have that as its base, you know. But there's so much that just feels like if you're playing the game by the rules as written, you're playing something that's hard to believe, like guys treading water, firing muskets and stuff like that. And the addition, you know, sure, there could be a simple rule. Hey, firearms don't work if you're in the water, you know, or the musket specifically doesn't work, and hell, maybe it has that on it. I didn't have that. All I had was the pistols, which seemed a little unlikely as well. You're not dealing with the loading time on these weapons, right? You know, loading, that revolver doesn't look like a revolver. It looks like a black powder gun that you have to hand load, and the same thing with the musket. And if you can do that, you could probably throw a couple of harpoons in that time, you know, or pick one up and throw one or whatever. But the game just doesn't kind of, you know, it tries to abstract so much and simplify so much that you know, you're left with this question of, well, what would you be developing? Would you be developing a game that's trying to be more realistic and represent this better, which some of the rules seem to try to do, or are you trying to do something that's just, you know, light and playable, in which case the whole game is kind of thrown into question. Anyway, I'm probably... You know what? I'm not going to even come in for a review. I don't feel like it's worth the effort. So I'll just keep going with what I'm talking about here, which is that, you know, again, there's an interesting idea, but it feels like the kind of thing that at some point or another before this went to printing, someone should have said, yeah, you know, I really don't see this going forward. And it's one of the problems is this is a company that doesn't put out a whole horde of games. They don't have a whole pipeline, you know, running through. So like, well, what do we do for the Halloween issue? You know, what do we do for the spooky game issue? Well, you know, you kind of have to say, yeah, it just didn't work this year for the game, and what are we going to do, you know? Maybe have some backdrop game that's, or maybe this is, and it's covering for something that, you know, was even worse case. I can't really recommend this, although, you know, my wife saw it and saw the story of what I was getting, and her eyes just lit up and she was excited about it, and I can understand that. It looks like, and it tries to tell a really, really deep and exciting story, but one, the balance just doesn't seem to be there. Two, a set of rules that's all sort of special cases, and so much of the game is just problematic in and of itself. And then you start adding things like, gee, is it possible to make a game like this that would work? You know, that wouldn't end up being a whole bunch of special cases. And the answer sort of starts coming out to be no, you know. You feel like something more like Little Green Things or something would be more applicable, where maybe the maneuvering on here is even more abstracted than it actually is. So that, like, I don't know. Because part of it is, part of the beauty of this is that maneuvering of the ship, taking the wind into account, taking the wheel into account, the amount of effort you have to get to sail to try to get to your location is sort of that's the clever thing that the game really adds, right? But that's the thing that's causing problems within it. I do think that you could probably, you know, a couple of people who are willing to tailor the game to themselves could, and maybe my wife and I will be able to do this, could get some of the balance issues knocked out and come to some understandings with kind of the feeling of, well, we want this to be more accurate than it kind of is, and we'll use some common sense and agree to rules as they crop up, sort of thing. Like the musket in the water and stuff like that, where you just, I mean, that's the thing. There's enough special rules in this already, but it just keeps calling out for more, and just in the same way that any role-playing game would, where you're trying to represent the whole of reality in a game form, but you've got somebody there to make these kind of common sense rulings as to how something would be resolved, what are you going to do to handle something. One particular, so there's a few things that I would say are kind of iffy. Obviously, the weapons come on their individual cards. I would be happier to have the weapons come with counters than with cards, because one of the things that bothers me is, oops, I dropped my gun on the deck. Now neither I nor anyone else can have it. And it kind of feels weird that way. Like, if I kill a monster, I should be able to take its weapon or something like that. Does it make sense, though? I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe the characters aren't capable of using, the Atlantean trident. Are you trained in that? Wong the cook? Or do you just know how to hit people with a fish and your cleaver? Likewise, it does bring up questions where you'd have to have rules of, hey, the crab can't pick up a sword, and stuff like that. But I would also say the water deck just shouldn't exist. It's kind of goofy. And I don't know. I mean, there's this, well, let's present some kind of, really the kill and water decks are this attempt to present the artwork, I think, more than anything else. I'm trying to find a way to say, well, maybe cards for the characters, but no, because you have to mark up those character sheets. So that's not a great idea either. Just, trying to reach for something that'll work a little better. But yeah, the best I can see with this is that, you basically have to say, it's a really cool idea, and I love the idea, and we're going to make up rules for it in order to make it more playable as we go. And to me, that's not really where you should be going when you're looking to put a board game together. And again, it doesn't help that the rulebook itself is not up to snuff in terms of nailing down the things that it does try to express clearly, and being well organized or anything like that. It's somewhat of a mess. It's hard to absorb and hard to internalize, and it's some very different ideas. The whole concept of navigating the big ship, that's not that hard to grasp in a way, but it's different, and you feel like it and some other things really needed to be better expressed, or more clearly, unless it's just meant to be sort of a game kit. Hey, here's a pretty good idea. We're close to the game we'd want, but we came to the realization that we can't actually make that game in a way that anybody could handle. If it was that, I would suggest more lightly, even more lightly written than it is. Make less wading through rules to try to see if you can figure out what it is. Just, have like some disclaimers here and there that are like, oh, you're going to have to make this shit up if you get in this position or something. Because you're going to come to positions where the ambiguities and, like the roll a die for damage, or no, roll for damage when you hit the water. What does that even mean? There's nothing representing that. And there's plenty of stuff like that where you just kind of have to try to intuit what the designers may have meant in it. We'll see. Neat components, and largely though. I mean, again, maybe it's just a way to try to get one more thing I wanted to really hit on, because this was problematic throughout, was the representation of the counters to the cards. Now, granted, my cards didn't print out well, but when I look even at the cards in here for the characters, I had difficulty distinguishing from the counters. And again, I don't know what could be done. A simple number or letter or something like that, something to represent each one, would have been very, very helpful. To just be able to see, hey, what is this piece supposed to represent? Because that was definitely difficult. Same thing with the characters. Some of them I found difficult to align with the correct characters. Sometimes I made mistakes. Again, a couple letter code or something like that could probably catch most of the names. With a little bit of care, you can make sure that you have no two cards that are close enough together in terms of a letter combo or something like that, that there would be any difficulty there. All right, I'm going to send this up, and we'll just call it good there.